Okay. All right, so as Cyrus mentioned, I'm going to talk today about breaking up with your keyword data. I know it sounds a little dramatic, but that's how I roll. Okay. All right, just a little bit about me. If you want to learn more, you can check me out at annielytics.com. My name is Annie. I'm into data and analytics. It started as a joke on Twitter 4 years ago and just kind of stuck. On my blog, I offer a lot of resources for marketers. I have a proclivity toward building giant Google Docs. So I have a Google Doc with hundreds of tools for marketers broken down by tasks. I have an audit checklist with 300 checkpoints and tons of Excel tutorials, analytics tutorials. I basically just kind of take you by the hand and go, it's okay, no, really, you can do this. Anyway, and if you want to throw money at me for shoes, check out my services page. All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Annie Cushing. Okay, so jumping in. So October 18th, 2011, as many of you know, Google basically declared war on keyword data. This will happen, and a lot of you are already aware of this. This isn't going to be the focus of the presentation, so stop checking your email. But what happened was Google said, for the sake of privacy, unless you click on an ad, if you're logged into any Google property, Gmail, anything, I mean, even YouTube, if you go to google.com, you're going to be routed to a secure site, and your keyword data won't pass to whatever site you land on. It's going to show up as not provided. So there was a big uproar among SEOs, as would be predictable, and Matt Cutts with Google's web spam team said, don't worry about it, we're talking single digits max. So you're getting your panties in a bunch about nothing. Last I checked, there's an agency called Click Consult, and they've been monitoring 60 sites since Not Provided was introduced, and last I checked, we are currently at 40% on average not provided. For my site or any site that tends to be a little more technical, mine is running between 65 and 70% not provided. However, that said, the purpose of this presentation is not to whine about not provided. Really, just shut up. Like, nobody cares. You know, you have to adapt and move on, or just, you know, sound ridiculous among those who don't care about not provided. However, what I am going to be talking about is there are things that have happened. That's so distracting. Sorry. I combine data with like a 12-year-old sense of humor. So that's what you can expect from any of my presentations, my blog posts, anything, basically my clothing. But anyway, so there are things that have happened even since that have continued to chip away at your keyword data. And if you're not aware of that, then you could be analyzing keyword data that is junk. It's junk data, is really bad science, and that's what I'm going to be addressing. So first up, July of last year, Mozilla announced that Firefox, starting with version 14, was also going to move toward encrypted search on Google. I won't go into my thoughts on that. Oh, no, actually, yes, I will. Okay, all right. No, I really wasn't going to, but I can't let it pass. So I'm not a big conspiracy theorist with Google for the most part. I'm like, it's your product, do what you want. However, they posited this as, you know, Mozilla was like, we're partnering with Google on this, and this is all about user privacy and blah, 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 blah. Of course, as many of you know, if you click on an ad, screw your privacy, that data is passing through. So the hypocrisy of it definitely stood out. But also, when I saw this, I was like, come on, we did this stuff in middle school. Like, you don't want to be too obvious, so you have your friend do something and watch your friend get in trouble for it. So when I saw this happen, I was like, oh yeah, how much you want to bet? Next up will be Google announcing that Chrome is following Mozilla's example and also moving to encrypted search. But I think that there was some element of collusion involved in that. But anyway, so according to StatCounter, 17% of users worldwide use Firefox 14. Sorry. Okay, then this year, in February, of course, as was predicted, Google also announced that Chrome would be moving toward encrypted search. And Chrome users, starting with version 25, represent roughly 35% of worldwide users, according to StatCounter. So just between Firefox version 4 and beyond, and I think we're on version 22 now, we're on like version 30 of Chrome. So, you know, you're picking up a lot more users as you go. That roughly accounts for a little more than half of users worldwide are not passing on keyword data. So now it doesn't matter if you're logged into a Google property or not. If you are using Firefox or you're using Chrome and you go to Google, this is what it's going to look like. And I do like to kind of dumb things down or simplify things. So basically, what happens is if you go to google.com, it's going to redirect to the secure site. And if you see that secure site, that HTTPS, then you can know your keyword data is not going to pass through to the site. And now something new just happened. In fact, after I prepared my presentation, I had to go back and add this in. A new thief has appeared just a few weeks ago, and as far as I can tell, it's not on anyone's radar. And that takes the form of the Google's new local carousel. So when I saw the local carousel, I was like, whoa, how sexy is that? Because I love anything colorful, bright, obviously. You know, anything it's kind of tantalizing. And so I wasn't like looking for anything in specific. I just wanted to kind of take a peek under the hood. So this is what I did. I put Italian restaurants into just Google. The carousel wasn't up yet. And this carousel appeared. I live in Cherry Hill, so I just wanted to see, you know, what would happen. And this whole carousel of local results showed up. So Brio Tuscan Grill is an awesome Italian restaurant in Cherry Hill. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to click on that, and I just wanted to see what happens with the keywords and, you know, stuff like that. And when I clicked on it, you would think that would go through to their site. If you would think that, like I did, you would be wrong, like I was. Instead, what happens is Google updates the query with a new query. I didn't search for Brio Tuscan Grill, Cherry Hill. I searched for Italian restaurants. And then the first result is their site. And I don't know what is up with Google, but the same thing is happening with images. You know, like it's almost as if Google's like, no, please don't go. Just stay here, okay? Here, there's a map, you can click on that, and it's like Google doesn't want to let you go. But when I click through to the result, sure enough, the query that showed up in their analytics was, I tested this with my site, well, one of my other sites, was Brio Tuscan Grill, Cherry Hill, not Italian restaurants. So if you are the marketer responsible for inbound marketing, SEO, whatever you want to call it, for Brio, you just took on a whole additional bunch of suck in your keyword report, you know, because now it's just, especially if you're just monitoring non-branded traffic, which you know, is a thing of the past, but I'll get to that. It looks like your site is sucking more. So if you are competing for local keywords, you need to mark June 18th in your annotations. If you don't know how to work with annotations in Google Analytics, just Google anti-Cushing annotations. I have a very simple video that shows you how to do it. But you need to mark June 18th because you can expect even more of a drop-off, so that if your boss or your client comes to you and says, what the hell, mate? You can explain, well, here's one more cause. And you should really be marking all of these different things that chip away at your keyword data in your annotations. So what do we need to do? You need to prepare some goodbyes. I know, the picture is dramatic too. I have a ridiculously overactive imagination. The first goodbye you're going to need to say is to keyword trending data from analytics. So that's just geek speak for if you go into the organic report and you click on a keyword and you isolate that keyword and you say, oh, okay, traffic to our keyword funky shoes is whatever. Well, first of all, you have no idea what it is, but you know, it's reporting whatever. And then you compare that to a previous month or a previous year. You can't do that anymore. Junk data. Junk, junk, junk. Another goodbye you're going to need to say, and I know that this is going to be really hard for some of us old-timers who have been in the industry for a while, but you have to say goodbye to reporting branded versus non-branded traffic. Junk, junk, junk is all junk data. It's really bad science because it's a thing of the past. And I'll explain why these things have become myths. Okay, so there's something in statistical analysis called a representative sample. And basically, what a representative sample is you have a small quantity of something whose characteristics represent the entire population. Well, if you take out all of the Chrome users, all of the Firefox users, and all of your logged in users, who does that sound like? That sounds like us. Those are your more web-savvy users. You're basically soon going to be left with, well, very, very soon, Internet Explorer users, hipsters using Opera, if Opera is even a thing, I don't know. Artists using Safari, and so you take out most of your web-savvy users, and you're left with, and no disrespect to the people who didn't get picked, but that's not a representative sample. And so what a lot of analysts and agencies and marketers are doing is they're saying, oh, it's fine, MBD. Okay, fine. They took away 40% of my data. I'll just take the 60% that's left, and I'll just draw a bunch of conclusions based on that. And you can't do it. So let me break it down in really simple terms. So I'm not a cook. I pay my teenage daughter to do all of my cooking. But let's suspend reality for a moment and say, I'm going to make soup, okay? So you start with the stock, and then you have some vegetables, and you throw those in, and you have some really gross-looking chicken. I'm really sorry for all you vegetarians out there, Erica, sorry. And then you have some herbs, which I realized last night as I was looking over my presentation, I think that's actually spinach. But anyway, but we'll pretend they're herbs, because spinach and soup is just really nasty. And let's say you just like dump it all together, but then someone's wrong on the internet, so you get distracted, and then someone comes along and is just like, oh, let me just take a scoop out of that and taste it and see what it's like. Well, they're going to draw conclusions about your cooking ability based on this ladle of soup. That's not a representative sample. And that's kind of what you're doing when you take all the keyword data that is left over from not provided and you start doing analysis on that. Okay, so let's get practical. Reporting on metrics like these, and again, I'm going to step on some toes, but it's okay, that's why I wore flats. Organic, non-branded traffic, junk. Organic traffic per keyword, nope. Revenue per keyword, oh, this one kills me. I used to have the most amazing reports where I would take keyword data from Google Webmaster tools all the way from impression to conversion and revenue, and I'd have all this conditional formatting. I mean, it was absolutely amazing what I was able to do with it. But it's a thing of the past. You can't do it. Move on. Bounce rate per keyword. Anything else per keyword, okay? Are we getting this? Any metric that you are isolating per keyword is junk data, and it's most likely hurting you more than it's helping you. And it's a fool's errand, okay? I'm not calling you a fool, just your errands. And like I said earlier, this is really bad science, and you may find yourself creating a Frankenstein who's going to come and kill you in your sleep, called your client or your boss, because they're going to be holding you accountable to these junk metrics. Okay, so what keywords can we use? It's not all doom and gloom. There are ways that you can use keywords, and I'll show you a few examples, and they're totally legitimate. Okay? Keywords for individual landing pages. So if you go into Google Analytics and you click on any landing page, in the standard report, it's just going to give you that landing page isolated, which is limited in its usefulness, in my opinion. So I created a custom report that when you click on a landing page, you can see all the organic keywords that drove traffic to that landing page. And I share all of those. In fact, this is a good time to mention, when I finish, my presentation will be online. It'll be on my site. It'll also be on the Moz live site. But I also have a bit.ly bundle in the blog post that has all of the links. So don't try to capture all of the links. But I share the custom reports with you so that you can just take them and apply them. If you don't know how to work with custom reports, Google Annie Cushing, Google Analytics custom reports. I have a video for that too. Okay? So here's an example of where I took a landing page. This was a client's Louis Vuitton landing page. It's one of their top money pages. I was only looking at a week of data for whatever reason. But here, when I clicked on that landing page, you see the keywords that drove traffic to that landing page. And most of them look copacetic, except not provided, but number 4, line item 4 and 10, they came up as the company name, and one was like a shortened version of the company name. That's worthy of investigation. So why is it that when someone searches for the company name, instead of going to the home site, they're going to the Louis Vuitton landing page? You know, does the home page not have enough text on it? Is it not properly optimized? Is the Louis Vuitton landing page over-optimized for the company name? Is there something with the JavaScript on the page? Are they not running the most recent version of Google Analytics, which is asynchronous? Do they have it at the bottom of the page so that by the time you get through all the JavaScript and stuff like that, it just isn't firing? There are lots of things that you can investigate with that. Totally legitimate. And like I said, I share the custom report for that. Also, flip that on its axis, keywords for landing page research. So let's say you click on a keyword and you see the landing pages. So in a perfect world, if you click on a keyword, there's going to be one landing page because your site is so well optimized, you're not going to have multiple pages competing against each other for a single keyword. But we don't live in a perfect world. This is more typical of what you see. So when I clicked on this keyword, I think it was Coach handbags, the first landing page, that was definitely the stronger landing page. But then the second result, there was a duplicate of landing page 1. And then the third result was a landing page that had nothing to do with Coach handbags. And you can see the result of the self-cannibalization. So that's stuff that you can take to someone. You could take to your boss. You could take to your client and say, we need to clean this up. This isn't right. But then I wasn't even looking for this. But I also found signs of conversion distress. I don't think that's a thing. I just made it a thing because it sounded really cool. Mayday, mayday, conversion down. But in this case, you see landing page 1. Now this is bizarre. Landing page 1, that's the top landing page, has a little more than 5 times as many visits as the duplicate of landing page 1. But then check out those revenue numbers. What's that about? The landing page that got almost 95,000 visits only made them $4,200, but the duplicate of landing page 1 that got a fifth of the number of visits got more than 3 times, generated more than 3 times as much revenue. That is definitely something worth looking into, okay? And so, I mean, obviously that duplicate landing page needs to either have a canonical tag or ideally a 301 redirect. But before you redirect that, I would look at those 2 pages vis-a-vis and say, why is this duplicate generating so much more revenue? There's a story there. You have some data drama. Okay, also, Webmaster Tools keyword data. Now, I wouldn't take the individual numbers that you see in Google Webmaster Tools to the bank. However, if you're doing a comparative analysis where you're comparing apples with apples all day, there's very, very valuable insight in there. So one of my favorite reports in Google Webmaster Tools overall is if you go to search traffic, search queries, and I had to create a new screenshot because I think just yesterday, Google Webmaster Tools apparently updated their entire interface. But you'll see at the top a search queries report, and most people know about the top queries. That's really cool because you can see all the keywords that your site is getting impressions for and clicks for, and if you click on one of those keywords, you can drill down and see the landing pages that are competing. And the top pages is just that flipped on its axis. You can click on a landing page and see the keywords competing for that landing page. And again, you'll see all kinds of signs of self-cannibalization in these reports. It's very, very valuable for any kind of organic marketing. But before you do anything with this data, there's a very important filter that you need to apply, or your data is going to be, well, junk. But you click that filter button, and then under search, by default, it shows you everything. Images, mobile, web, etc. I always isolate exactly what it is that I want to analyze, because there are times that, well, yeah, of course, your mobile page, if you have separate mobile pages, it makes sense that they're going to be competing, against the desktop page. It's not as big of a deal, but I really want to hone in on web if that's what I'm analyzing. And then also, I filter out all the results that have like fewer than 10 clicks. It's just a bunch of noise in your reports. But when you do that, like for this page, this is the clients. They have a page where women can sell their designer handbags. It's like basically an online consignment store. And you can see most of the keywords, they make sense. Sell designer handbags, sell handbags, resale designer handbags. But then there are a bunch of keywords, they make no sense. Like used Coach purses for sale. Well, they have a dedicated landing page for that. It's one of the most popular landing pages. That shouldn't be. Why is Google thinking that this page that's telling women how to sell their used purses is about used Coach purses for sale, et cetera, et cetera? So very valuable keyword insights. Keyword reports from SEMRush or Keyword Spy. I won't go into that too much. Avinash touched on SEMRush. It is one of my absolute favorite tools. Basically what it shows you is all the keywords that your site ranks for on the first 2 pages of Google, and last year they also added Bing. It's very valuable if you're doing competitive analysis. So what I'll do is I'll take my client, throw them in there, find out all their keywords, and then I'll take their maybe 3 or 4 competitors and throw them in there, and then throw everything into a pivot table and pivot it a bunch of different ways, and you find all kinds of poaching opportunities, optimization opportunities. But it's absolutely critical. You have to know how to work pivot tables to do any kind of analysis on a report like that that has so many data points. And again, it's a compulsion. If I talk about anything, I have to either tell you how to do it or give you a resource to do it, so bear with me. But if you don't know how to use pivot tables, I include a link to a video tutorial where, again, I take you by the hand. I'm like, it's okay, honey, it's okay. And I just basically let you watch over my shoulder. And it's one of the 2 most critical skills you have to know as a marketer when it comes to Excel. Okay, also, look at organic keywords to drive content strategy all day, all day. Go into your organic report, see the keywords, draw all kinds of conclusions. Whoops. But you have to get in front of this. You absolutely have to get in front of this. If you're an agency, you need to have this discussion with your clients. If you're in-house, you have to have this discussion with your boss before the inevitable day where someone comes to you. Like I had a client who was like, we're down 18% for sexy Halloween costumes. And I was just like, what? You have no idea how much you're down. I said, you could be down 40%. You could be up 3%. You have no idea. But that's not the ideal time to have that conversation. When you have an angry hippo, highest paid person's opinion, and they're coming after you and saying, you suck, you suck, you suck. That's not the time to say, oh no, wait a minute, well, no, it's not provided. And then there's Firefox and Chrome, and I don't remember all the drama that Annie was talking about, but it's really, really bad. It's too late. It would be like, putting off having the talk with your kids, and then one day your 15-year-old daughter comes home and says, Mom, Dad, I have some news that's gonna wreck your day, is too late, okay? So, and besides that, hippos don't care about not provided. You start talking about not provided, that's like our lingo. It's like twin language among online marketers. No one else has any idea what we're talking about, and they don't care. They care about basically one thing. And that's what you need to talk to. When you're talking to them, they're thinking, and as a business owner, I think the same thing. I'm paying you. Don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. I'll punch you in the throat. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that. But I'm like, don't waste my time. Don't waste my money with things that I don't care about. I'm thinking about things like, am I going to have to go into my kids' college savings to pay for you? And, blah, 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 blah. So you need to speak to what they care about and stop talking about junk data like not provided and keyword data. Get that crap out of your reports. Just get it out of your language. Start retraining your boss, your clients, and you'll thank me. And even if you don't, that's okay. You can still throw money at me. All right. Thank you very much.
Well, lots of information there. That's why we always download your slides afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't have a question, but you really, just an observation that you opened my mind to with the local carousel and Google changing the query. Yeah. So that's not what the user was searching for, right. But if that's a non-encrypted search and they pass that and you're relying on keyword data, they're lying to you. Yes. You're getting keyword referral data, and if you were to optimize your site on that keyword, you're optimizing it for the wrong thing because Google right. changed the query.
Right.
And there's every indication that if history is any indication of the future, that this is going to keep continuing.
Exactly.
That keyword data is going to get more and more unreliable.
Yep.
Let's see, do we have any audience questions? Yes?
Andy, that was great. Thank you for that fantastic presentation. So I hope this question doesn't put you on the spot at all.
I hope it does.
Okay, well, you asked, or you said so.
Bring it on.
So, nice. I just got scroogled. So, I recently went through this demo of a tool, an SEO tool. It's a brand new one. You've probably heard of it. I don't know if I should call the name out, but it promises to unearth the not provided based on Google Webmaster Tools data tied in with all these other things, not to get into all the details, but, and I know obviously your presentation was kind of move away from that type of reporting, but in your experience, I just love to get your thoughts on it, because we've been debating about whether or not it's a valuable tool for us to invest in, but would love to get your insight.
Yeah, you know what, no. Just no. I mean, first of all, Google Webmaster Tools data is already highly suspect. Like I said, if you're doing a comparative analysis, yeah, fine. Get all slutty with it. But if you're just like relying on those numbers, which obviously a tool like this would be, it would be like saying, well, God told us that we're getting this many impressions for this keyword, and so, so we're gonna extrapolate that out, that, your click-through rate is roughly, 2.3% if you're lucky, and, so this would actually result in this many visits. It's just more junk in the trunk, Okay. Like you may have some valuable insights, but you might not, because even with like things like rich snippets and stuff like that, like you might think, so they're operating on the assumption, I would assume, that, if you're ranked number 1, you're gonna get the percentage, this percentage of the clicks, if you're ranked number 2, but that's not necessarily the case anyway, because you could be ranked number 3, have a video-rich snippet, and steal most of the clicks away from 1 and 2, and they can't build an algorithm for that. So I just think it's a lot safer. When we're talking data integrity, go with data that you can verify. Because as a marketer, you're accountable for whatever data you present to the client, and it's like the point I made at the end. If it doesn't work out and they start coming after you, that's that's not the time to say, you know what, I think we're just going to discontinue this tool. Let's just pretend we never had this discussion.
So if I can ask one more follow-up to that. Speaking about predictive modeling then, because that's, I think, and I know there's supposed to be, from today's presentation, we're going to have a predictive modeling tool from Moz, so fantastic, but without that keyword level data and sort of trying to put together a business proposal or a justification for doing the kind of work that we want to do for SEO, in your opinion, is there like a, without having that keyword data, is it still possible to give an estimate that when we, or a prediction that if we, make it, we're not going to look like fools later?
Yeah, I actually think that it is. Because if your landing pages are fairly well optimized, because you can still draw any kind of, there's no data about landing pages is being withheld. So if your pages are fairly optimized, you can verify that in Google Webmaster tools and Google Analytics with the landing pages, blah, 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 blah. I think you can safely extrapolate that out, and say, well, this landing page is getting this much traffic, it's producing this much revenue, and when we look at that landing page, here are the keywords that are driving traffic to it. So it's fairly safe to assume that, this is what this keyword is doing for us. So yeah, I do believe that it's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
We actually have to cut it off there. Annie, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.